Welcome to LeisureCast. My name is Brian Carsgaard here with the one, the only, Josh Olswich. Hey, Josh.
Brian, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing good. It's hoodie season. Back in my natural form.
This is my favorite time of year, just if the crowd wants to know. Not because it's tax filing season, but because it is not miserably hot anymore.
That's true. It was 90, upper 90s here last week. It was nuts.
Ooh, that's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it because the humidity calms down.
Yeah.
Temperature calms down. People get back from their summer breaks and maybe they start trading. I don't really know if I care about that part.
Well, you're in the deep south, so you got that.
It's so hot here.
Gross heat plus humidity.
Yeah. So I need this break. I love this season. Football is back. I know you care about that a lot.
Huge. Fly, Eagles, fly. That's
wow.
That's what they tell me to say.
They say here. They played quite well last night.
I did. I watched a bit of it. They did play well.
Well, yeah, football season, playoff baseball.
Playoff baseball's coming up.
I mean, fall is really the greatest time. The changing of the leaves eventually. We won't get that for a little while, but we have much to be thankful for.
Thanksgiving, speaking of thankful, that's not till later, but
we have much to be thankful for, Josh.
Bitcoin does well on Thanksgiving historically.
Well, could have fooled me this month.
Look, we might be grasping at straws here, but there's not much else to talk about,
Yeah. Listen.
Not much is going on right now. Everybody's just kind of waiting for a bunch of things.
Yeah.
And we're just in limbo here.
The old trusty 200 week is one with the price. ETH and BTC, we're just basically the average of...
we're below it, though. What if this is the high, the historic high ever for the 200 week? What if it only curls down
below it forever?
Yeah.
Forevermore. That would be pretty bad. It's certainly a sign of being sideways at best when you're hovering around all the moving averages of whatever sorts you want to analyze. There's really not a lot to say on Bitcoin.
Well, I think the market is so thin in both directions that we are one headline away from a 10% day, one way or the other. Like something bad goes down with an exchange that rhymes with
finance.
And
let me see if I can find a word, Josh.
And that's the negative 10% day potentially. But if we get that BlackRock ETF, maybe we're going to be saying that for like 6 months. It'll just be around the corner, guys. Just wait another few weeks. BlackRock's going to come save us, guys. Not a place we want to be, The same thing with halving. You don't want to be the halving, whatever. You don't want to be in a place where that's the central focus, even though that's how it's been historically. Like this is no different than 2020, 2016. It's no different. It's just, same stuff, different day.
It's got to be boring, even in the good times, even when there is another cycle. Historically, there has been. There's still loads of time that's just boring, where people get sucked out of the ecosystem, lack of paying attention, etc. Hey, Josh, I want to give a shout out. Thanks, Red Scrutinizer, for bringing it up early in the show.
Yeah.
We usually mention it towards the end that Josh does videos, but Josh does videos, and you should check him out at Carpe Noctum on YouTube. Carpe Noctum. I don't know how to spell it, so I'm saying it.
Yeah, that'll help. People have no clue.
It's Noctom.
There you go. You know what? I randomly looked today at this has turned into a podcast about podcasts, but I looked at our reviews on some like podcast stream, and it was over 4.5 stars. I was like, oh shit, we got
people like us.
I guess so. I don't know, but
I will say there has been a steady crew who have watched and listened to this show for like 6 years.
yeah,
It has been 6 years, Josh.
they've tolerated us for quite some time.
18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. We started in 17, so 6 years. 6 years you've known me. I've owed you a steak for about 3.
It's true. That's very true.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, y'all. Appreciate you. Even when it's really boring. How can you possibly make money when it's not boring if you can't be here when it's boring?
Well, look, there's 2 things you can do. You can learn about the tech, which might sound cliche, but I did a lot of my Bitcoin learning in 2015, 2014. You know, there's not much else to do.
Yeah.
Than like to learn what the hell's going on with this stuff, right? Drink the Kool-Aid, get indoctrinated, whatever. Now's the time.
Look at some of these long timers in the chat. Karen and Callie, we actually met in person one time even. She's been here for most of the time since we've been recording. I like this one. I like you, but I also hate you. Been watching since 2019. Thank you, Liam. We will take it. The thing is, we have very little agenda other than our own bags, but we're just talking about our thoughts about them here. We're not trying to convince you to buy them or sell them or anything else.
Yeah.
We're just discussing it, and y'all are here because you decided to listen to that conversation. So there's very, very, very little opportunity to be victim to our terrible words. So,
well, hip hop is right. The best content does come during the bear market, I think.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to price. Yes, I've been DCAing for months. I could care less what price is. The lower it goes, the happier I get because that means I get more BTC. If it goes below 15, sure, I don't care. Like, I'm not worried about. We've talked about this for weeks, but if we're below 15 and it's 2025, then we're in trouble. But if we're boring and oscillating between 23 and 30 for the next 6 months, I'm not worried about it personally.
23 and 30 would be great.
This drive chain nonsense is exciting me because governance debates historically have been bullish.
If nobody cares about what you do with the chain, then it's not a good chain.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. The ultimate crazy like shower thought is where does BlackRock, how do they vote on the fork? You know, like let's say
people actually talking about a fork.
No, but let's say it comes to that, right?
Oh, okay.
I'm not talking about the most likely scenario here. I'm talking about a potential scenario. I'd assume they'd vote with the miners. I'd assume they'd vote for it. I don't know. There was something in the prospectus about forks for the BlackRock ETF. I can't remember exactly what it said, but yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting if that comes to pass. I don't think it will, but something to think about way down the line, you know?
Yeah. 0x, lots of vowels, says ESG fork. I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. Yeah, he's Fink has really backed off, the CEO of BlackRock. He's really backed off of the ESG narrative. And if anything, we're getting a lot of press on the side of Bitcoin being ESG friendly. So it's really
grid stabilization.
Yeah, I mean it's really changed after that. I think the New York Times piece was like the bottom of the dirty Bitcoin narrative potentially.
I think grid stabilization has to exist though. Like they have to figure out how does this not just waste energy, but how does it create stability? How does it use renewables? Like you have to push into those things really hard because otherwise, I personally feel like proof of work feels kind of pointless if it's not just work, but it's also waste. Proof of work that's not waste, I think, is fine.
Well, you're securing the assets. What are the values for all of the banks globally?
I know, but proof of stake is also doing a pretty good job of securing the assets.
Proof of stake has yet to prove itself.
Okay.
There hasn't been a successful proof of stake chain since it's existed.
How
We
do you
haven't
feel
we haven't
about
seen it.
Ethereum?
We have not seen Ethereum proof of stake in a bull market, and it hasn't done so hot so far. So it
Okay.
needs time to prove itself. That's all I'm saying. Look at
Okay.
any proof of stake coin historically, and it just they don't do well for whatever reason. They do not do well. I'm not saying it's not secure. I'm just saying, look, it hasn't done well.
Yeah.
Undeniable.
I'm not sure about that.
What
I'm
do you
not
mean?
I'm not
Let's pull up CoinGecko. You tell me which EOS has that done well?
Oh, come on. I'm talking about will Ethereum do
Cardano?
well with proof of stake?
Yeah, okay, but I'm saying like we can't just assume ETH is going to do well because it's ETH. You know, it's changed its security model. It's changed the yield component. It hasn't proven itself yet in my eyes. That's all I'm saying. Neither has Solana, neither has Tron, Cardano, like Dot, Matic. All this stuff is kind of just hasn't really done anything or gone anywhere, you know?
Well,
Because
I
5 years ago we had a list of other 10 proof of stake coins that didn't do anything.
I maintain this philosophy of Bitcoin versus Ethereum, wherein the variability of Ethereum is okay. It does change. It does have governance adjustments, but it's still pretty Chad-like. BTC, you know what you get. It can be good, but you just know what you get. That doesn't make Ethereum bad.
Alts should have higher beta to Bitcoin. They're just riskier, and that's where all the stupid stuff happens. So, yeah, I mean, there's the Lido issues with ETH, but there's issues with every proof of stake coin. Historically, they just don't do well over time. That's all I'm saying.
There's issues with miner centralization as well.
Of course,
The
but
miner centralization issues are very similar to the staking centralization issues.
similar, but you know, I wouldn't say the same. All I'm saying is, look, if you're drinking the ETH Kool-Aid, I don't care which side of the debate you're on. I'm just saying, find one proof of stake coin that does well over time. I haven't seen it. I have not seen it. Ripple doesn't count. Doge doesn't count. Litecoin doesn't count.
You will, don't worry.
I hope ETH is the first one, but we just haven't seen it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. ETH BTC appears to just want to keep going droopy sideways down. I don't know what I don't know if we call this a direction or not. I mean, that is a downtrend over the last year. 1 year of downtrend, but it's not like pukey.
You want to hear a crazy thought? Bitcoin's halving will be more bullish for ETH than it will be for Bitcoin.
Sure. I don't think that's that crazy. It's down 23% in a year. ETH BTC. Relative to previous bear markets, that's not much at all. 80%.
So you're saying it's got time.
Or I'm saying we've created some stabilization in these asset ratios. I don't know.
Well, it doesn't look bullish, but it doesn't look turbo bearish. It looks neutral. It looks like it's ready for lows. Doesn't look like it wants to go higher. That's for sure. But would you expect it to? It's not the coin that's getting an ETF. It's not the coin that has all the flows.
ETH?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, the first thing you do once the Bitcoin ETF is announced is assume the ETH ETF is on the way.
Right. We've talked about this, that the best news for ETH is, of course, a Bitcoin ETF. Yes. Who cares about Bitcoin, right? That's fine. I'm not going to disagree with you, but I'm saying in the moment, the flows are just not going to come to ETH first. Okay. ETH will have its day. There's no doubt ETH will be at 10K. Clip it, chat, clip it and ship it. Talk to me in 2025. ETH BTC may do super well. It may go to 0.1. But over time, it has not done well. I do like T-bills flip mode.
ETH.
I think most of the civilized universe likes T-bills.
ETH to 10K is where you lost me. Not because...
Is that too low?
No. Not because I was unhappy. I was euphoric.
Okay.
That's all I need. Just little ETH to 10K action, Josh, and sunset. We ride off into it. That's all we need.
You know what else I was thinking?
What's that?
It's the constant thought of these institutional products. Are they going to offer a yield component? Eventually they should. I just don't know if that's baked in to the initial applications, right?
Yeah, shouldn't probably be baked into the initial applications.
Why not? What if you have BlackRock, take over Lido? What a crazy thought that is,
It is a crazy thought.
Then we really get to see how good proof of stake is. Yeah, I just got excited.
Let's talk about.
I think we need to think like that because of the institutional influence that's clearly going to be here eventually, right? What's going to happen when OFAC compliant BlackRock takes over ETH? Same thing with Bitcoin. They're buying miners. They've got influence on all sorts of stuff. Just something to think about long term.
Yeah, I don't think we've really seen the wars that will exist have looked puny compared to the wars of the future.
No, I don't think we'll have BTC staking, but I don't know. Things could get wild, right? Absolutely wild when the most important asset manager on the universe is in our backyard all of a sudden.
Yeah. I want to talk about the dollar, but first, there was a ruling this week where there were 2 dissenting opinions in crypto's favor, but I don't remember what the ruling was on. Do you remember?
I thought one was for Uniswap, but I thought that was 2 weeks ago.
No, it was about the Stoner Cats thing. NFT stuff.
As an NFT person, what are your thoughts on that?
I think a lot of NFTs played dance real close to the fire. But at the same time, I think it's really interesting and encouraging to see SEC commissioners write these dissenting opinions and making pretty direct correlations to things like Star Wars collectibles of the past. Like, for someone to purchase a Star Wars collectible and think that, okay, this might be valuable in the future is not an unreasonable thought, and that does not make it a security, That said, I don't know that I would say like Stoner Cats or many other NFT projects were like in perfect compliance with what they were doing too. Like, they might have been going a little hard on the, hey, number might go up thing versus like
they were a product of their time.
Versus enjoy the cats,
You didn't buy it for the quality of the art.
Yeah.
Right. So, but you don't buy a Van Gogh for the quality of the art either.
Right.
For most people, right?
And I think that's a part of it that is important. Is there's plenty of things that we buy that it doesn't, like, there's not like a test of how much do we love it versus how much do we want it to become more valuable. But that does not inherently make them securities either,
I agree. We love it because number can go up.
Yes.
That's why we love it.
We love it. We love that component of it for sure.
NGU tech, we just love.
So yeah, I don't know. I appreciated the dissenting opinions. I appreciate that there's some debate amongst regulators. And I think that some of these concepts need to be much better tested than they have been. And I think Gary's a little bit out on a limb.
I think, wasn't there an issue that they're using the proceeds to fund a cartoon or something?
I don't know where all the issues lie, but yeah, there were various things like that. And I don't know how to compare that to like a Kickstarter or something, but
I agree. Because do Kickstarters ever give away like merch for participation or like a Patreon? I feel like it's similar.
Tons of times. I've done many Kickstarters where I bought it with the anticipation of a future product, and with access, I get access to stuff,
But you don't get a piece of something that has a secondary market value. Yeah.
Right. It's tricky though. It's tricky. And honestly, I think even at a deeper level is has all this regulation of these concepts even really worked? You know, like, are we really helping anybody by policing that in the first place? Is there
No,
any
but
major advantage?
just because it doesn't work doesn't mean we shouldn't try. You know, I don't know. That's like the opposite of the war on drugs
I
argument.
was about to say, I was about to, really? Are we sure about that? Like, I mean, at some point, I feel like you just acknowledge speculators will speculate. We let it happen with gambling, right?
The sports gambling stuff is out of control.
It is, but they gave up and now it's out of control and it's probably overdoing it, right? Like, and then it'll kind of unwind a little bit. But
Well, you're literally most of the time you're lighting money on fire, right? Let's be honest.
yeah, but instead of making it illegal, like make there be some awareness campaigns attached to it, something like that, kind of like they did with smoking.
Speaking of smoking, there was this great viral tweet about the amount of sugar in something at like Baskin Robbins or something.
Yeah.
And I think everybody was thinking like, okay, like should this be okay? I think there's valid debate
and making it
valid arguments for both sides. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There are good people
I
on
get
both
quite
sides.
libertarian on this stuff. Like, you will not have a very easy campaign to just make stuff illegal because you don't like it or you think it's unhealthy for someone.
Well, it goes
You
back to like the big gulp New York City thing. Like,
Yeah.
should we be allowed to sell that?
Like, if I say, "Hey, sweet tea is illegal because there's too much sugar in it," well, people will just put sugar in their unsweet tea. You're not making sugar illegal. You know what I mean? Like, you have to acknowledge that people will do the things that they want to do, even if they're self-destructive. And what you can do is you can make it a little harder for them, or you can like make them be aware of what they're doing while they're doing it. But that doesn't mean you say, okay, well, screw it. It's illegal and we're going to put you in jail or whatever if you do this. And speculation is right up there with these other um, sins of man. You know, like, it's just, you cannot fix speculation with Gary Gensler's big stick, you know?
I'm not going to disagree. It doesn't mean I have to like it, but I'm not going to disagree.
Yeah.
I think it's going to happen regardless. And they can try to make it go away, and they can try to make DeFi, KYC, AML compliant. But there's always going to be a place where everything's Portugal, right? And it's legal and nothing matters. That's going to happen.
Yeah, the KYC AML thing is another interesting thing. Like, I know Eric Voorhees has talked about this a lot, and some other people too, about like we just went along with the fact that that's okay. You know, like, do we test our theories or do we just go along with something because somebody came up with it and then we can't remember why we did it and whether it's working?
Well, we can either live in the backwoods and be this puppet show, or we can comply if we actually want the flows in the money.
Citizen.
I'm not saying we should. I'm just saying, look, if we want the flows in the money, you have to comply with KYC AML. Whether that means permission pools, which is something that the DEXs have talked about for years and years and years. ZRX, I think, being one of the first, which just means permission pool just means everybody in the pool, everybody who's touching that part of the DEX is KYC AML. Every dollar is accounted for, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Because institutions can't enter into trades with North Korea unknowingly, right? Like that just can't happen. So we can like it or hate it. It doesn't matter, but they won't be here without that. You know, at the end of the day, that's what we need. So we can hate it. We can think it's criminal. We can think all these things, but that's just the way the world is, you know?
Yeah, I think some of the things in the world are stupid.
We can fight it.
I think some of these things are stupid.
Brian Mack, by the way, in the chat, he said Stoner Cats and Van Gogh, very comparable. I agree.
You know, Stoner Cats wanted to come on Up Only, and we were like, sure, if you want Ashton Kutcher and Mina, whatever her name is, to come on the show, bring them. And then they're like, oh, we were thinking more like the artist. And we're like, no. My wife got excited about that one when I told her Ashton Kutcher might be coming on the show.
those two have had quite a week. We won't
They
get
have.
into it.
They're yeah.
But they've had quite
They
a
had
week.
this other video that was not good.
No.
Anyway, we'll skip the rest of that and talk about the dollar now.
Sure.
It looks strong. Continues to have the any down movements be short-lived, and then
it took a Viagra after its first Viagra wore off, and is ready to take the third. It is ready to go.
I mean, this is 9 straight weeks of green candles for the dollar for Dixie.
It is straight risk nightmare fuel if you're seeing that, because man.
Now, I saw a chart which I retweeted with Hopium, where
was it a Tom DeMark 9 chart?
No, I'll find it for you.
For the 3 people who know what that is.
TD9.
TD9, yeah. I bet the TD9 it's got to be getting close to that. There's just I can't force myself to find something bearish here, because I don't even know what do you even look at.
Yeah. No, I'm this was Blunt's Capital.
Love it.
He thinks Dixie is probably close to topping out again and continuing a major decline, blah, 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 something about ABCs.
You're like, sure, this looks great.
Yeah, I was like, I'm retweeting this because I have Hopium.
I completely disagree with this analysis, but I love the direction of the arrow.
Yeah. Well, he was basically saying that the way it cleared the downside here, looked like it was nuking, gave it the springboard come all the way up, that he thinks it's going to repeat on the top side above that high. Purely technical analysis, and I think there's a lot of fundamentals in the Dixie too. But
well, yeah, I was just going to say, we live in America. We are USA focused, and USA exceptionalism, blah blah blah. But everywhere else, like, things are worse. Like, we might have strikes out the yin yang here with the UAW now and everybody else, and the labor issues. But like, Europe's in a lot of trouble. Germany's in a lot of trouble. All these other countries are in a lot of trouble. And I think that's what's filtering into DXY strength here.
Yeah, I don't disagree. The monthly looks like it's just getting started.
It looks like it did at the bottom of 2021, right? Or end of 2020, whenever that was.
Where?
2020, end of 2020. We had like that diagonal triple bottom that we were talking about, saying, man, this looks bad.
Oh, I see. Like, just like right here.
Yeah. I think the difference is we're not going to have another 500 points of rate hikes. So how high can this really go without that?
Yeah, I really think the hikes are almost done.
I think they're done, but there's also a high risk that they have to keep going.
Yeah, that they stop for like a year and then have to go again.
I mean, they might stop for a couple months and go again. We might not be done in 2023 for hikes. Hell, we could see a hike in 24. In the beginning of 24, we could see a hike.
Yeah, this does not lend itself towards crypto bullishness if that happens.
No. But, if you're BlackRock, if you're a having enjoyer, having Hopium, maybe you want prices to be low. That sort of amplifies the probability of some crazy like 20x move.
The stock market itself looks pretty weak, actually.
It looks like a small gust of wind could just blow the whole thing down.
Yeah.
I was looking at the tech stuff. A lot of those Elite 8 charts are either in the cloud or coming back down to earth a little bit. Head and shoulders.
Elite 8. Is that the new thing? Is that?
I probably made that up. I have no idea.
Oh.
It's like what, the Magnificent Seven?
Okay.
I think I'm throwing Tesla.
They've put now Tesla and Nvidia are taking over some spots, I guess.
Well, I think I threw Tesla in. Let me just open up this one real quick.
Yeah. You got a watch list for this? Oh, you got a whole box, a whole grid. Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, Tesla, Meta. I can't read that one. Netflix and Amazon. Yeah, that's nice.
I think as a group collectively, more of these are on the pullback camp than the continuation camp. A lot of them had their day in the sun, but especially Netflix, this thing doesn't look so great. Doesn't Amazon probably looks the best among them, but they all just look kind of tired to me, except Amazon.
It really looks like it wants to follow a version of that chart that I have shared, my like multi-year squiggle thing. Like it basically has to top out here if it's going to follow that. The only next thing is new highs. And are we really in a place where we're just doing all-time high price exploration on multiple stock indices?
I don't think so. I think reality has to set in eventually.
Like I can understand it on something like Nvidia that you show there. It made a new all-time high relative to the speculative highs in 2021 because AI and they just like keep dominating. But the broad market doesn't seem to be really doing that. The consumer seems to be softening a bit in terms of buying power.
Big time.
At some point, like these moves are anticipating a continuation of significant growth. And do we really have that, or will stagflation set in? I feel like we're on a runaway train for stagflation personally, and I've thought that for a while. Not that it's mattered for me winning. But yeah.
So what you're saying is you like 3-month T-bills here. So that's what you're saying.
I feel like there's probably some asset classes that will do significantly better, but
Let's put it like this. You had to put all your money in something now and you went into a coma for a year. What would you do? How would you split it up?
Might be oil.
Oil for a year. All of it. Is that what you're going to do?
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah, oil.
Maybe like, what about 1/3 oil, 1/3 gold, even though you have real rate risk, 1/3 T-bills.
No crypto.
I mean,
that would come when you woke up, right? Like,
yeah.
Oil looks super strong. Dollar looks super strong. That normally doesn't happen. I looked at the correlations today. They are normally inverted, but they're not recently.
One of the things people love to complain about is oil is how expensive gas is and stuff. But in reality, we've had.
Do you drive, bro?
Yeah,
Don't
but
you have a car, bro?
Dude, I get 7 miles to the gallon in the city. It's pretty awesome.
Oh my god.
The price of gas hasn't really gone up in like 20 years.
What? It's gone up for the past 5 years. It's gone up. What are you talking about?
There's been a ton of fluctuation, but the barrel of oil, when you look at it as a barrel of oil,
here we go.
It's flat, inflation adjusted. It's cheap to drive. It's cheap on an inflation adjusted basis from the year 2000. We've gone 20 years with some major fluctuations, but like you told people in 2004, 2000, 2007 when the oil went nuts, like, hey, 2023 oil under $100 a barrel and $3 rough $3.50 gas, would you take it 15 years from now? And they would have been like, yeah. I think it's cheap.
I think tech has helped that. I think discovering new oil in places has helped that.
Oh yeah, the consistent technological improvements and oil sourcing has made oil very cheap. It's been highly deflationary on the industry, and oil companies are nothing like they were 20 years ago when they were living high on the hog. Is that the word? Is that the right phrase? I gotta close this door. My kids are about to walk in, but I'll be right back. You talk.
My whole thing was, do we want oil to be cheap? It's an insane wolf thought. I tweeted this out. I knew people would hate me for it, but if we want to get off the oil teat, don't we want expensive oil?
A third of our portfolio is in oil. Remember, we need oil. Yeah, I think the best driver to alternative energy sources is the free market, and the free market determining that oil is too cheap and becomes more expensive is a good reason to encourage those alternative energy sources to push forward. I think some big challenges are our grid and other things that need to catch up. Like there's a lot that needs to happen to make moving off as much oil as we use.
Well, we need to invest in our own
better.
infrastructure instead of sending it overseas to bomb some brown kid or help out some war that nobody cares about. Like
Yeah.
we need to spend it at home.
Hmm.
That's they're just full of hot takes today.
Yeah.
But there was an Adam and Eve on oil. It did break out on the cloud. There was a failed Head and Shoulders. Like there's plenty of technical reasons why this goes higher still. It's on its way to the Adam and Eve target. That doesn't mean it can't keep going, but it's definitely where you'd expect it to go based on the technicals. So it looks very strong, and it's got the cartel on its side pushing this higher, right? Oil demand, gas demand, gasoline demand is extremely high. I think it might even be at an all-time high. And that's what China just like totally being out of the picture, right?
Yeah, I think $150 a barrel oil.
Whoa. 150.
I think it's not out of the question in the next 2 years.
If we go to 150, we might have to give some countries some freedom. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying. I think it's a legitimate.
That would be very, very brutal. Living through the transition, oil to alternative or oil to nuclear is going to be extremely rough. But at this point, I think we have to,
Yeah.
The SPR. I love the SPR doomers because I see it as political. I lean left, whatever. All I can see from those doomer macro tweets about newsletters being, SPR related, all I see is like political agenda behind that for both sides. But it's just funny to see it constantly nonstop,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna export some democracy, if you know what I mean.
Another chart that just continues to look incredible are just yield. 30-year bonds. 30-year bond yield.
Yields look great. 3-month T-bills look great. Where else can you get risk-free 5.25% yield?
It's pretty incredible.
That's a problem for crypto, certainly.
And many other things.
You can get 5% on your USDC on Coinbase. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
You can get yield on your cash in Robinhood. How crazy is that? Like, you don't even have to be in like a TD Ameritrade account or something, right?
Meanwhile, I opened an account at a national bank and they started slapping $95 a month fees on a checking account. And yeah. And I have a reasonable amount of money in there. And I was just like, what are y'all doing? Like, what? They're on my list of.
I'm not going to say I want banks to fail. That cannot stand. That is just.
Isn't that insane?
That is very insane.
Like, what services am I being provided? I'm putting my money in your bank, earning no yield, by the way.
Right, of course.
Paying $95 a month.
In current year.
What am I getting out of this? It was Chase Bank.
Oh, here we go. Now we're going to have the Pinkertons on our street.
Yep.
Case in the joint. Yes, yields look great. TLT looks very, very bad. Very, very not so good. I think that's what Orange Cheeto Dust Man would say. 30-year looks great. That's going to be a problem eventually. But let's all bankrupt the U.S. government together by jumping into 3-month T-bills. Have you seen that graph? The how underwater the Fed is?
No, how bad is it?
200 billion.
You have it? Can you pull it up?
Yeah, let me find it real quick. 200 billion. Oh, another thing I saw today. What's his name? Paul Krugman telling us that inflation's back to 2%. If you take out food, energy, shelter, and used cars, we are there, baby. Who's that?
What's included in that?
Yeah, good question. nothing people need. Here is the. Sorry, I said 200 billion. It's 100 billion. My bad. We're on our way to 200 billion.
I mean, if this was a Bitcoin chart, these yield charts, I would be.
Gold is jealous of that yield chart.
Yeah. I'd be dancing, Josh.
They look great. They look strong. They look really, really good. Eventually, that's going to be a headwind for everything, Yeah, look how long you have to scroll down to get to the. Oh man!
I gotta read it, and then I gotta look at the chart.
Yeah.
Right on schedule. $100 billion that the Fed is losing. What the heck is happening here?
Oh, that's on interest, right? Is there anything crypto-wise that we're bullish on right now?
The friends we made along the way, tech.
Friend tech, Base.
Yeah, Base is doing well, mostly thanks to Friend Tech. Friend Tech has been extraordinarily sticky, like much more sticky than I would have anticipated. A lot of active users, top fee earner, all that kind of stuff. Highly speculative, people wanting airdrops, but hey, it's out there. It's doing things. The top Friend Tech account is Racer, who's the founder at 8.8 ETH, followed by some other folks at 5.5, 5.15, 5.11. Top 20 or so or above 2 ETH, top 50 maybe or above 1 ETH to participate in their chats. I think that's pretty expensive. I think the formula for what's happening there, the market dynamics are kind of broken, and I just think it's early enough and it's hyped enough that people don't care right now. I think they probably will, but I also think FriendTech has the opportunity to change a lot of what they do and experiment, and they've earned a crap ton of fees to help pave the way to do so, to have a long time to work on that. So I'm very excited to see dApps do well. And so this is an example of a dApp doing well. It doesn't have to be perfect, So good for them.
It's like the NFT conversation. Is it doing well because people think number go up? Or is it doing well because people actually want access to these people?
Right now, I think it's doing well because people want number to go up and they want airdrop and they want to speculate that, Josh's friend tech is going to go from 0.1 to 1. And it's the same reason they want all the other coins to do things, is they want to make money. I also think it can unlock some really interesting access-driven social media community type stuff that could be really good. I don't think the app is very good in that regard right now. But that doesn't mean it can't be.
It's only on iOS, right? I don't think it's on.
It is a progressive web app, so you could just save it to your home screen.
Okay.
And you can do that anywhere.
Shows you how much I know about any of this stuff.
Yeah. I'm also very excited to see that, because a progressive web app really enables you to bypass app stores and their restrictions for how you do things. So I think the more people that discover how to use a progressive web app, the better. So there's a lot that I like about it, even if I think it's hilariously flawed. I floated an idea yesterday, I think, about like if it was purely about access and like essentially paying for access to a creator, but still enabling a market. What if you buy a key and that key depreciates by 1% to you, the holder, per day, and that 1% gradually goes to the creator. So every day you hold, you lose 1% of whatever's left, but you still have the buy sell bonding curve. So like if someone's getting more and more attention, growing organically, even if you're losing 1% a day, you may still carry value and gain access, and the price of the key is accruing in its depreciation to the creator so that they get paid more than the 5% tax. I think something like that could be really interesting, or some kind of iteration on like what's a more subscription type model look like for a more direct transfer of money for access. Right now, that's a very capital inefficient process where somebody has to pay point 0.3 or whatever ETH to buy a key to access me, but I only get 0.015 of that point 0.3 ETH, right? Um, it's not a clean transaction because you feel like you spent point 0.3 ETH and you deserve access to me, but I'm like, bro, what? Like I don't know you anything. So anyway, I think
Well,
there's lots of
in that
interesting
case, you
components.
just have a paid group, right? What do you need a friend tech to be in the middle of that for?
Oh, I think there's a lot of interesting things that it does because it still creates a potential market and all kinds of other stuff that I think is fascinating. I just think that the formula is kind of broken for if you feel like you're paying for access versus you feel like you're paying to speculate on someone's potential influence. Um, I don't know. There's lots of questions there. I think right now people are loving it and therefore ignoring all those questions, and that's fine.
Well, it's
Um,
something to do in a time when there's very little to do.
yeah, I just think a lot of the speculators may end up getting hurt, as they always do, like we talked about earlier. But as I mentioned earlier, I support their capacity to do so.
I support their capacity to ride it to zero,
Yeah.
like a
Hey,
true community member.
I've done it, Josh, and I'm sure you have at some point, even though you're mostly a Bitcoin guy. I'm sure you've ridden it all pretty far down before.
To zero? I read it far. Okay, yeah. Down, yes, but not to zero.
It's close enough to zero.
Close enough. Close enough. Sure. Why not?
Yeah. Um,
I don't know if there's anything else this week. Is there any other things we need to discuss?
I don't think so. I want to see crypto perform independently of the stock market in a positive direction. That's what I want to see. So far, our
Well, we kind
independent
of ran out of narratives, you know?
right, our
Like the layer
independent performance so far has been literally like only to the downside. Stocks go up, we go down. Stocks go down, we go down. So it'd be nice if we could go up when stocks go down.
Oh, I think any of the active narratives are crypto native, so it's just poor people left. You know, like the base stuff. Layer 2, I don't think, institutional folks care about that at all, you know? So, yeah, I don't know what at the moment, I don't know what we have going on for us. I think everybody's just waiting for better access.
Yeah.
Better access or lower prices? Better access to the asset class is what I mean as far as an
Oh, I see.
ETF.
Yeah.
Um, now you can always go to Fidelity or wherever else to do that yourself, but
The ETF would open up options for me and I imagine many other people with restricted retirement accounts.
Red is also right. He says BTC has never operated in a high interest rate environment before. That's
Yeah.
true, and neither have
We should learn a good bit during that.
most of the people who are here. You know, certainly me. I haven't my trading career has only been a decade, so it's been a decade of rates at zero, essentially.
Well, to be fair though, rates are similar to what they were in 2019. It's had whole market cycles in these interest rate environments, but not not much higher than here and not where the rate of change to the upside has been as severe as it has been the past year.
2019 or 2009?
2019 right here. 2018, 2019. Yeah, May 2019 is when it fell when the 30-year yield fell below 3 and a quarter ish, basically the prior trend.
Well, it certainly feels different to me because I don't think any of us has lived through this before. You know, we've got inflation, we've got
Yeah. Yield
potential unemployment, we've got this crazy yield curve inversion.
from Bitcoin's origination, if you go back to 2009, 2010, we were
Yeah.
at the same rates we are now. But for the most of Bitcoin's life until COVID, there was a steady decline in rate of change wise. And now we've had a rapid ascent. So yes, we don't know what it is like in that regard, but we do know what it's like in kind of this general not rate environment. But as we get closer and closer to high rates as a baseline,
Yeah, that whiplash is.
Yeah.
What's that saying? It's not the drop that kills you; it's the ground.
Yeah, and the 2 year. I mean, the 2 years a cleaner look as well, right? Like starting in 2010, whatever, whenever they bottomed after the recession, like that's when 2 year like near term rates were basically zero. Then they peaked in 2018, dumped like mad. Now they've whipsawed in the other direction.
Yeah, rates definitely look like they want to go higher, though. That's for sure.
They do.
And it's not going to be good. Not going to be good for crypto, fortunately. Money market accounts also at an all-time high, 6 trillion.
Yeah.
So there's your dry powder.
Theoretically, those dollars eventually should be too many. Right? Like it starts affecting, right, Josh? Right? Maybe not.
I don't think we're quite to the point where people are thinking about allocating into risk. I don't think we're quite there yet.
Well, they're
people
happy
are enjoying the 5% yield.
Yeah, especially broad-based risk. They're happy to do it in little bursts of lotto tickets, dumb stuff that happens. Let's finish off with this. Another one from 0x, lots of owls, is Friendtech earned more fees than Uniswap last week, according to DeFi Llama. That's a state of things. People don't actually want to trade.
Well, maybe I'm jaded, but a lot of these apps, ICOs, NFTs, they do very well initially when everyone's excited about them and it's new and it's the flavor of the week. What can ordinals do in a year from now, right? What can Friendtech do in a year from now? That's what I'm excited to see. Like, does this thing actually have staying power?
Yeah, and I'm excited to see it. I'm not trying to fade it. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool.
I like innovation, participation. These are good things.
Mew said, Josh jaded? No.
Is it for me? No, it's not. But look, I know it's for a lot of people, and I know they get excited about it. So that's fine.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We appreciate you as always. You can follow Josh at Carpe Noctem, YouTube and Twitter, X, whatever it's called. Me at Letter Status. Thanks for being here. We'll catch you next time.
Monuments crumble in the blink of an eye. The easy river has just run dry. In a house of cards, I feel the breeze wound so tight I can barely breathe. Oh, the change